Hello, my name is Emily, as you may or may not know. And guys, look, I got this cool half sleeve jacket. Oh, and just you wait, right? There is a freaking, wait, can you see it? Oh my gosh, sorry. It's a freaking bedazzled tiger on the back. And I know what some of you guys might be thinking. Hey, that's kind of ugly. And what I would say in response is, it's entirely possible. But I'm Year of the Tiger, and tiger is my favorite animal. So I thought to myself, should I spend even more money on this that I could be spending on groceries or donating to charity? And the answer was yes. The answer was yes. But we all should be donating to charity on a more serious note, right? It's not a joke. But anyways, I asked you guys to send me your LGBT confessions, right? I thought it's been a while since we've done a little call and response, right? A little A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Imagine I just like kept going until I reached like a million, I guess. Let's just jump into it, right? I have you guys, wait, let me see how many. I posted it last night. I'm pretty sure I posted it last night. 2,855 responses. So it's safe to say I'm not going to be getting through them all. So here's one, right? My best friend and I had massive crushes on each other, and we would always jokingly flirt with each other. After months of this, she started daring me to kiss her. It's very bold, very bold. Eventually, I did. But I said, like no homo though, immediately after, and she got super mad and stormed off, and we never talked to each other again. Right, yeah. That's something that you should always do after a romantic encounter, is dismiss it immediately after, right? You just kissed me? Hi, no you didn't. Something I like to do while in the throes of passion with a woman is to stop periodically and just say, this doesn't count, right? What's going on? Is this even happening? I don't think this is even happening. Are you schizophrenic? Also, sorry, the thought of your crush daring you to kiss them, that sounds like it should be a dream come true, but actually that might be the scariest thing it might be a nightmare, that happening. The amount of pressure that would put on you is crazy. It's easy to kiss someone you don't care about. Ooh, wait, that makes me sound like a bad person. There's a lot more pressure when you're kissing someone that you actually have feelings for, right? The stakes are so high. But it sounds like you handled it like how someone in your situation would handle it, right? Panic, gay panic, and say, but like no homo though. That phrase is not only restricted for straight men. Okay, so picture this. I'm ready. Me and Joe. We were never officially a thing, but the situationship energy, insane. Like, we were out here redefining friends. I'm a guy. One time we literally shared an umbrella in the rain, and it felt way too intimate for two bros. I'm talking cinematic enemies to lovers energy, while we're both pretending that it's not as deep as his hand was on... sorry. While we're both pretending it's not that deep as his hand was on mine holding the umbrella. Oh my god. Hi, K-drama, right? I don't know your guys' ethnicity, but... And Joe, he would even constantly find ways to orbit me. Once he even tripped over a piano bench in front of me like some Wattpad character and then acted all embarrassed before coming back around like nothing happened. I don't know, that maybe sounds like a mistake. If you have a crush on someone, you might not want to trip over a whole ass piano bench, but maybe he wanted to you to tend to his wounds after. We also had late night calls and said goodnight to each other, but when I woke up and said good morning, he ghosted me. Boy, pick a lane. The plot twist, he goes and tells someone that I made him uncomfortable. Ouch. Only to spin back like, nah, you actually don't make me uncomfortable. Sir? That's not how this works. Meanwhile, we're sitting shoulder to shoulder at the piano with tension so thick you could slice it like sashimi. Oh, I like that visual. Salmon. I love salmon. It was giving gaslight, gatekeep, homoerotic situationship. Joe swore up and down he was straight, but explain to me why the vibes were towing the line of a relationship without the label. Like, what straight guy does that much physical intimacy with his friend? I'll wait. In the end, it was a messy, awkward, confusing, but so undeniably gay-coded that I just had to accept I was living through the most unhinged LGBT in-between rom-com of all time. Honestly, it felt like I was starring in a deleted scene from Heartstopper directed by Ari Aster. P.S. We held hands. Wow, that's an image. Heartstopper directed by Ari Aster. You know, in Hereditary, that girl loses her head, but in a Ari Aster directed Heartstopper, no one even gets head at all. And that's the most scary thing. But honestly, I relate because there is something about situationships where it is a bit of a psychological thriller, isn't it? You know, like I'm having this image of like when I think about the ups and downs of a situationship and comparing it to a film scene, right? When in The Shining, Jack Nicholson is hammering the door saying, "Here's Johnny," right? And he has that axe. It's like you have the axe and you're knocking on the door, a little bit more than knocking, right? I open the door and then all of a sudden you have a bouquet of flowers, right? Like that is the emotional whiplash that situationships are serving you. Honestly, what I just said doesn't really make any sense, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. I met a guy on Grindr. We'd been talking for a few weeks and decided to meet up for lunch. When I met him, oh my God, he smelled so bad. It was like paint thinner. Oh God. Dude eventually told me he hadn't showered in 3 months. 3 months. And then proceeded to force my face into his pits? What? Okay, that's assault? I would say so. I honestly have no idea how I didn't throw up. I very quickly left after that, and I still don't trust dating apps to this day thanks to that. First of all, genuinely so sorry that happened to you. Actually, that's fully assault. Honestly, even if he was squeaky clean and had just showered prior, right? But the fact that he didn't shower for 3 months and he did that, bitch, that's biochemical warfare. You know what I mean? I'm just imagining if I were in your place. First of all, okay, I understand that Grindr meetups have a bit of a preconceived notion. You know, I think that with Grindr meetups, you know, sometimes there is no hi, hey, hello, how are you? You just get straight to bottoming. So I get that sometimes maybe there's a little lack of pleasantries, but just out of pure consideration, shower before you meet with me if you have the means, right? Obviously, if this guy didn't have access to a shower, then I don't blame him for that. However, what I will blame him for is shoving your noggin into his axillary area. How dare he? My ex was a neo-Nazi. Who was also one of those bi, lesbian, gay, pan, all sexuality people. Huh. Okay, sorry, I'm just processing. He'd make Hitler jokes and say that he was trans-Russian. There's a whole Google Doc about him, and I hate him so much. Sounds like this person was doing an experiment. This sounds like the type of right-wing troll to just go around saying, well, I identify as a toaster, right? I identify as a foyer or a lawn chair, right? I guess I'm just... Or it sounds like they were having an identity crisis. Well, I would say I'm wishing him the best, but that would be a lie. Let's see. I once walked in on my crush making out with his dog. I'm bi now. Ugh. Open mouth, tongue kissing with your dog is a train that I have never been able to get on, right? Even if the train stops right in front of me and it's like, listen, we're the only line here, right? There's no ACE line, there's no 1, 2, 3 line, it's just French kissing with your dog line. I'm walking up to the conductor and I'm him and I'm saying, get this train out of my face. Because I'm sorry, why are you doing that? And I've seen some people of the variety, right? Where it almost looks like you're getting a little too passionate, okay? You're making everyone at the family barbecue uncomfortable. Why are you kissing your dog like you're recreating a scene from The Notebook, right? You know, if you like the taste of Purina, you don't have to get it from their mouths. You can just fix yourself a bowl. Sorry, I realize my tone might be sounding really judgmental because, well, I'm judging. But I guess if you are a dog kisser, I can't stop you. I can't stop you. So whatever, I guess. Being a K-pop stan is not for the weak because every time I look at Kim Chae-won, I have the urge to scream, and Hayoung from Promise 9 makes me gay panic so hard that I could probably end up in the hospital if I look at her for too long. I see, I see, I see. Yes, I feel like Kim Chae-won has so many people in a chokehold that it's like her her hands are as massive as the Himalayas itself to wrap around all of these people and have them in such a chokehold. And it's understandable. It's understandable. She's a beautiful woman. She's a talented woman. Yeah, I understand. I do understand, especially in the height of my K-pop era, because I am a happily taken woman now, so I don't dare look at any other woman but my woman, right? But I will say, in the height of my K-pop days, there was a certain primalness. I do need to thank K-pop girl groups for giving me a vessel to realize how strong my lesbianism really, really is. I think that there's some times where you'd be watching a K-pop music video with, like, you know, a girl group, and if you're a lesbian, there is this feeling where I'm like, it's just a feeling where it's like, I've never in my life looked at a man and felt this way, right? I would want, because here's the thing, my roommate likes the K-pop boy group, so we would kind of have K-pop movie night marathons or music video night marathons where she would play music videos from her boy groups and then I would play some from my girl groups. I would watch these music videos with the most handsome, objectively angelic looking men ever, and the most I can say is like, he's such a good dancer, or, you know, God, he really must have worked hard on his craft, right? When I look at the women, however, I respect women. Of course I respect women. But, well, let's just say when I would watch K-pop girl group music videos, I would feel like that meme of the wolf, like, ripping his shirt off, right? But when I would watch the men, the majority of what I would feel was kind of just this. When I first came out as a trans woman to my lesbian friend, the first thing she did was kiss me. Oh, okay. It's very congratulatory. 'Twas very enjoyable. Also, thank you, Emily. The first piece of femme clothing I ever bought was your merch. Oh my gosh, thank you, thank you. Wow, that's really. Is she French? If so, maybe she should stop sharing her culture with people who kiss their dogs, right? Because these people are French kissing their dogs, and it is France's responsibility to stop that. Me and my GF gave each other a lock of our hair, and for a good 4 months, whenever I was miserably yearning, I would hold her lock of hair and smell it. But I mean, it made me feel better, so that's not the weirdest thing ever. It's not. I feel like lesbians, especially maybe lesbians in like somewhere like Portland, I could be entirely making this up. I'm so sorry if you're from Portland and I'm gravely misrepresenting your place of lesbian worship. But I feel like there's certain genres of lesbians where it's like they'll keep each other's menstrual blood in a little trinket and wear it as a necklace, you know, things like that. Or they'll, you know, take each other's, like, I don't know, like braid each other's like pubes together Avatar style. I actually don't know anyone who's done that, so I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'm sure someone out there has, as some sort of art piece about like connection and community. When I told my mom and my friend that I was a lesbian, they didn't believe me, which is funny in of itself, I guess, but I told them separately, and they said the exact same thing word for word. I was like, "Hey, I'm gay," and they went, "No, you're not." Like, okay, thanks. LMFAO. Yeah, right, right. I remember, actually, I'm going to save I don't know if I've ever told my coming out story, but I'll save it for like a different video. But there we go again with the dismissal, right? There we go again with the, sorry, whatever you think is happening right now, it's not. And you know what? There's something about lesbianism specifically where people find it hard to believe, right? I think that a lot of the times when men would hit on me and I would tell them that I was a lesbian, they never believed me. Obviously, that's different than, you know, coming out to a random man on the street because they won't leave you alone is different than coming out to your close friends and family. But there's just something where it's like, you say I'm a lesbian, and then people act like you just said I climbed Everest with my eyes closed, and I also did it with only one hand as well. And it's like they're baffled. You tell someone you're a lesbian and they act like you've just told them that the tooth fairy is real. And I'm sorry that your friend and your mother had that reaction. But you can live in your truth and know, hey, this is who I am. And you can deny all you want, but I'm gonna be here being sexually attracted to women. I have this ex-friend I low-key had a crush on, but he turned out to be really abusive to me, gaslighting me, ignoring me, treating me like shisa, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, the best part is that he's a gay, furry, femboy Trump supporter. I don't know how either, bruh. Anyway, love you, girly. Cupid. Gay, furry, femboy Trump supporter. We contain multitudes. There are gay Republicans for sure. Femboy and furry. Now that's a dilemma. That's really interesting. I feel like when I think about gay Republicans, I think about white men who are kind of like very buff and perhaps also hairless as well. And they all kind of look like those gay art pieces where it's always like super muscular men in tight sailor's clothing, and like their butts are always like super, super prominent, to the point where it's kind of like, oh my gosh, that thing looks hard as a fucking rock, right? That looks like if I slapped you on the arse, I might break my freaking, like my metacarpals. That's kind of the vision I get when I think about gay Republican men. Femboy and furry. It's like, what would I imagine a Trump supporter's persona to be? Part of me obviously wants to say elephant, right? So then that way, when someone shows up to the Trump rally in the persona, people can say, hey, let's address the elephant in the room. And then that's when I chime in and say, yeah, Trump's sexual abuse allegations. And they say, no, I'm talking about the furry who's on our side. And then I say, well, I would still like to discuss this. I met this guy on a school trip and immediately fell for him. It got to the point where I memorized his Snap score, even though we hardly even spoke to each other. Then 2 months later, and then 2 months later, I accidentally found out that he lives 490 feet away from me. BTW, love your videos, queen. Wait, how did you find that out? Oh my god. I hope that you responded normally to that piece of information. Hi, Emily! So I'm a bi guy, and during junior year, I had a big fat crush on this guy in my Chinese class. Bro was really smart and nice, so I was like, hear me out, even though he was low-key chopped. Okay, that's nice that you can, see beyond looks, right? So I got his number and we started talking, and we kind of became good friends. I wanted to find out if he was even interested in guys, so I asked, what's your type, casually? And this man said something crazy. He told me Asian girls. Right. So that actually wouldn't surprise me so much if he was a guy in your Chinese class. I am not trying to assume this person's race, but white guy in a Chinese class? And bro went on and on about how much he loved how Asian girls didn't understand English and how much he wanted one as his wife. Okay, freak. So I was like, oh, so you have a fetish. And bro was denying it, but he started sending me videos of Asian girls acting all cute and showing their feet. So I avoided him and muted his notifications. So yeah, I guess I dodged a bullet. Definitely. First of all, I don't know how long your guys' getting to know each other period was. That's wild of him to start sending you videos of Asian girls and their feet. I'm like, was this within a day span, a couple weeks, right? I mean, God forbid it was, within the first few hours of getting to know each other. Like, oh, what's your favorite color? And then he says, probably the bottom of this Asian girl's foot. And I'm sorry, one of the things that he likes about Asian women is how they don't understand English. You are very strange. Like, he's just expecting all Asian women to not know English, or perhaps he was just paraphrasing. I'm imagining him going up to like an Asian woman in a freaking kung fu tea in San Francisco, and being, 你怎么样, right? And she's like, hi, can I help you? Okay, this one says, it's okay, girl, I got you. Don't worry, I'm a boy, right? I got so many submissions from bi and gay men. Love you, divas down, right? Don't worry, I'm a boy, right? And I had to deal with my friend's ex for an entire year. And let's call this girl Amanda. Right. Amanda made a group chat with mainly girls and a few guys scattered here and there. So later throughout the week, her ex ended up sending a... Huh? Okay, her ex ended up sending a Dirk pic to the GC without ever checking who was in there, and I had to spend the rest of my time near him, always knowing about his size. I ended up blocking him one day, and I'm not even kidding. 10 minutes later, someone asked me if I had blocked him because he couldn't reach me anymore. I blocked him mainly due to him being a pervert to everyone, including me, since I had long hair pretty enough to be pulled. Anyway, love your videos, babe. Stay safe. I'm sorry, he's saying this in the group chat? Who sends a nude photo in a group chat? Good lord. You know how like in the movies, the protagonist will have an embarrassing picture of them sent throughout the entire school, and it's like a form of like blackmail or bullying? This guy's just like doing it for fun. I just have so many questions. Like, I'm like, was it an accident? Because in my head, I'm like, surely it must have been an accident. But then also, this sounds like it was a group chat full of like a lot of people. So how do you even do that on accident? And also, how did the other people respond? You just give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, perhaps even a ha-ha. That would literally be my worst nightmare. That would be my worst nightmare. I mean, I guess if you... I guess if you take a picture, it has to be nice enough to send. That's not true. Some people take really ghastly nude photos. Sometimes when I get pictures not on my own volition, because after all, I've been a woman on the internet for a very long time. You know, it's interesting. I used to get more unsolicited dick pics when I was a minor. Maybe I would love to pick your brain on that. Some of them, it's like, God, if you're gonna send one, at least like make the composition a little nicer, right? Some of you clearly do not have an artistic eye. Like, it is just ugly. It's like the lighting, the angle. It's like, I'm sorry, if you are gonna send something and it's going to be documented on the fucking interwebs forever, put in a little more effort, right? I'm not saying it has to be... First of all, don't send it at all, especially in a group chat with people that you know, right? But if you're... I'm not saying that you have to pull out, you know, the Quentin Tarantino, freaking Wes Anderson, you know, color grading, but we got to do better. We have to do better, right? For the pictures where you're sending them with permission, right? Because God, for some of these pictures, right? If you were someone in a romantic or sexual relationship with someone and you're feeling excited and enthralled about receiving like an intimate picture from someone else, and you send the trash that I have, you know, received before, it would obviously be a letdown, right? And I think some people, when you're receiving things like that, it's not like you're going to be expecting, you know, an Oscar-winning 5-star movie, but you just want something that's maybe like 65% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Some of these, it is literally in the fucking gutter. Ratings worse than that goddamn Ice Cube movie, right? Sorry, I've been talking about this for much too long, but that's what you get when the video is unscripted. Drank from half of an empty can I found on the street. Oh, baby. And why would you do that? Because I was 50% sure that it was my crush's can, and that meant my lips would be touching where theirs had been. Urinatron 3000. That's something. That's really something. Well, I hope you didn't get sick, and I hope that you found peace. I met my first real boyfriend this year, and our relationship lasted 3 months, and he only liked me for 2 weeks. Really? Well, then what was he doing for the other 2.5 months? Actually, some people stay in relationships for years and they don't even like each other. This reminds me of this one tweet that I saw. This person was like, me and my ex-partner had been doing years of couples therapy only to find that we just didn't really like each other that much. Sometimes it's like you spend so much time communicating and trying to get to the root of these problems because you think that they're just grievances, but really you might just be like fundamentally incompatible, right? If you had a 4-year-long relationship and for 3.5 out of those 4 years you had to be in couples therapy, well, perhaps it's time to hang something up. Your wedding dress. Hang it up and return it. The wedding's not happening, babe. I love your videos, Emily. For my submission, I will talk about this hookup situation I had like a month ago. The events preceding to the hookup are not important. It was a fun date, and while we were parked in a parking lot, it was like 12 a.m. at this point, we started hooking up in my tiny ass car. For context, I drive a Fiat 500. I'm 5'9", and the person I was hooking up with was 5'7". Awesome, awesome. At least you weren't in like a smart car, I guess. Or like a wagon. So, as she's reenacting the chorus of Casual by Chappell Rowan, love, on me, my Apple Watch vibrates and I take a quick look at it. It was a message from my bestie that went, hey, are you busy for the next hour-ish? Followed by, if you're busy, that's completely fine. So based on my previous experience with said bestie, this was basically her saying, something is very wrong and I need immediate help, but I do not want to inconvenience you. I tell her that I am in fact currently free. Lies. And as it turns out, her inhaler ran out and she was having an asthma attack and was drunk and couldn't find a 24-hour pharmacy where she was at, so she wanted me to drive her to the ER. Oh my god. So I quickly drop home the lovely lady in my car and hurry away to pick up my bestie. She gets in the car and we're driving to the nearest ER and then asks, hey, why does your car smell like my ex-girlfriend? Girl, I'm so scared right now. My brain freaked the fuck out and was running through the possibility of me hooking up with my bestie's ex. They broke up right before we met, so I had never met her ex, but from what I know, she was toxic and very emotionally abusive. But then I remember that her ex was Middle Eastern, so unless her ex decided to do whiteface, it was very improbable that the person I hooked up with was my bestie's ex. Thank God. What did actually happen was that the woman I hooked up with used the exact same perfume as my bestie's ex. Black Opium, for anyone wondering. Black Opium, that's the name of it? Opium as in drugs? Huh. Now that's interesting. Like, oh, what's your cologne? Turquoise marijuana, right? Anyways, that combined with the fact that I smoked a cigarette, I'm quitting, I promise, before I had the hookup made my car smell like her. Her ex is a heavy smoker. My bestie got an inhaler and didn't die. I'm really glad that you didn't end up hooking up with your bestie's ex, because trust and believe, in the lesbian sphere, it's more likely than you think. You know, it's things like this that are such a monumental part of being in the lesbian community, right? And it certainly is a community. You know, when you're single and you're following someone on Instagram, oh, the amount of mutuals is uncalled for. I came out to my mom through a heated gamer moment because my sister closed my Animal Crossing without saving and I yelled, "F you all, I'm gay, I'm moving out." It's concise. It's concise. I'm sure I think you got your point across. Also, I love picturing a heated gamer moment in relation to Animal Cross. Because with Animal Crossing, it's almost a game where there's not supposed to be any rage at all. But I love that you're breaking boundaries. I accidentally overheard a girl confessing to someone over the phone while I was on the toilet. Have you ever shitted with your life on the line? And my stomach was low-key killing me. I had to hold it while they were talking, and I guess they didn't realize that someone else was in the restroom with them. The confession was low-key kind of cute though, but she got rejected because she left crying. Kind of felt bad. Interesting place to confess your love to someone in a public restroom. Perhaps that might have contributed as to why the girl got rejected. I think that perhaps you should have been a little bit more strategic. Because hey, girl, you were doing nothing wrong, right? God forbid someone goes into the library to read. right? You were going to a place to do what you were supposed to do. These people were having a moment of connection or disconnection in a place that wasn't really meant for that, right? I would say sometimes the only context that it can be a place for connection is the scene in Glee when Rachel Berry and that really good Filipino singer were having the sing-off of Telephone by Lady Gaga. And then also when you're in the club and, you know, drunk girls are complimenting you and acting like, you know, you're the most, you're a fallen angel. Perhaps this isn't entirely on theme, and if it isn't, I apologize. But looking back on it, I feel like it was an omen of some sort. So my mom had brought me, my sister, and her friends, there were two, to the mall, and we were messing around in H&M, if I remember correctly. And for some reason, I decided to go up to one of the male mannequins and try to take a peek down its pants in the middle of the store for all to see. The son of the mom's friend pointed it out and jokingly called me gay. The son of the mom's friend. Sorry. I thought that you were saying your mom's friend called you gay. I was like, I mean, I guess hey, can a woman clock someone's tea every once in a while? Can a woman clock a little boy's tea? But okay, the son of the mom's friend pointed it out and jokingly called me gay, and I ardently denied it. Now, I was around 7 or 10 at the time. Oh my God, you were literally a baby. So you could chalk it up as childish behavior, but the thing is, I used to stare at the men on boxer packaging and stuff like that, so I feel like everyone kind of knew that I was a fruity fruitcake in the tropical sun. Sorry for the wordiness, and once again, I apologize if this isn't on theme. Oh, it's perfectly on theme. It's perfectly on theme. I relate, right? I think that when I was younger and I would be walking past Victoria's Secret, I think when I was younger and coming to terms with my sexuality, I would spend more time in one sitting staring at the Victoria's Secret model posters at the mall than I spent time staring at the Mona Lisa when I was in Europe. But the Victoria's Secret models, I would say that I probably looked at, I think a part of me was also jealous. Part of me was also jealous because I remember, well, this memory is seriously etched into my mind. I went to a Victoria's Secret once where I was too young, really, to be measured there. But my friends were a little bit more developed. So they went there to get measured. And then I was feeling like this pressure. Well, it's like, I guess that I should just get measured too. Am I going to be the only one who's not getting measured? And they basically said, like, there's no need for you to get measured. You can't measure something that's not there. So I think sometimes I would also stare at the Victoria's Secret models with this sort of air of, maybe that could be me one day. And of course it never was and never will be. But I've totally made peace with that. And I could totally imagine for like, you know, gay boys who are coming to terms with their sexuality. I'm sorry, the boxer or the, what's it called? The brief advertisements that they put on the underwear packaging. I'm sorry, it's literally bulge central there. I'm sorry, they want you to stare at it at that point. One time in middle school, a girl called me really pretty in the locker room, and I didn't even say anything. I just kind of squeaked, and ran away awkwardly. I want to start reacting that way to compliments now. I really like your outfit. I spent my summer infiltrating and breaking apart the most toxic polycule I've unfortunately ever encountered. People were shit-talking about everybody, and all I did was tell people the truth about their partners and friends. Honestly, you know what? They need to make maybe they have already, but they need to make a reality show about a fucked up polycule. You know, instead of, the Real Housewives of da-da-da, it needs to be the Real Polycule of Portland. Hey, another Portland mention. Or Brooklyn. You know, they need to just plop a camera crew into a random apartment in Bushwick and just treat it like a nature documentary. Honestly, or they should write a sitcom about a Brooklyn polycule, right? I mean, do you know, there's so many different, first of all, I know those dishes aren't being done. In this toxic polycule, they're not doing the dishes when they're mad at each other. They are borrowing each other's tabby shoes without asking, wearing the shoes without socks as well. So you know, you're one of the members of the polycule, their freaking toe cheese is all scratched up on the hoof. So basically back during summer, I was minding my own business at a party slash hangout I was invited to. Now, mind you, at the time, I was so freaking bisexual, but just not completely out. But I was dancing with a gay and he was getting a little too close, so I just pushed him away and tried to walk away, but he continued. Then this girl, the most beautiful human ever I have ever seen. Green eyes, soft freckles, and red wavy hair. The way she moved made me faint, smile, and cry at the same time. Oh, Jesus Christ. She touched my waist and told him that we were girlfriends. I stopped breathing. She kissed me. And I swear I almost fainted in that moment. It felt like we were the only two people there. Holy crap, that is a crazy, bold thing to happen to you. I'm happy for you. That literally sounds like out of a fan fiction. Also, I just realized something. I think I read that wrong. I think it's, but I was dancing with a guy. I thought the asterisk was an A and not a U, so I said a gay. So I was like, oh, okay, this girl's maybe a little homophobic, but moving on. All right, I think that I'm done. I think I'm done. Thank you to everyone who submitted. Sometimes when I do these submission-based videos, I need you guys to remember that these are comedic videos, right? There are some things that you guys confess where it's like, it's a good thing I'm not law enforcement because this could be used as evidence for something. Sometimes when I look through your guys' confessions, I'm like, this better be a lie. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I hope that you get to do something fun today, whether it be a hobby, hanging out with a friend, watching a good movie, right? But all right, that's really all I have. Until next time.